You ever wonder what's actually going on in our heads when we share a petition or add that little frame to our profile picture for some cause? I mean, it feels like we're helping, but what really makes us hit that button? Today, we're diving into the pretty surprising science behind why we do what we do online. And the answer, well, it might just change how you look at your own social media feed.
So let's just think about this for a second. Joining in on causes online, it isn't some fringe activity anymore, right? It's a huge part of our digital lives. I mean, think about some of the massive movements we've seen, both locally and globally. Social media has totally become the main stage for getting people mobilized.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say the answer is yes for pretty much everyone here. And it's that very public display of support that gets researchers so curious. You know, it's not like quietly slipping a $10 bill into a donation jar. These actions are super visible to our entire network. So what are we really doing when we do that?
Well, there's actually a term for this, an academic term, intentional social action. And it's not about some random mindless click. Nope. It's a conscious, deliberate choice to get involved. The key word here is intentional. We are actively choosing to do it. The bigger question is, why?
To figure that out, some researchers decided to stop guessing. They pinpointed 4 specific factors, 4 potential reasons, to see what really pushes us to take that intentional social action online. Now, what's the logical assumption here? The one we probably all have. It's that we click, we share, we sign on because we think our small action will genuinely help, that it'll add up to some real-world change. Makes total sense, doesn't it? Well, maybe hold that thought for a minute. Because a study back in 2015 decided to put that exact assumption under the microscope. They used a really solid model from technology research to figure out which factors truly sway our decision to act for a cause online. Let's break down the 4 contenders they looked at. Okay, so first up, you've got 2 big ones. On one hand, there's social influence. This is pretty much what it sounds like, peer pressure. We see people in our network, folks we know and respect, doing it, so we do it too. And on the other hand, you have performance expectation. That's our logical assumption, the belief that what we're doing will actually be effective and help the cause. The other 2 drivers are a little more on the practical side of things. There's effort expectancy, which is basically how easy we think the action is. Is it a super simple one-click thing or some long, complicated form? And then, finally, you've got facilitating conditions. This just means, do we have the basic resources? You know, a decent internet connection, a phone, and just the general know-how to do it. All right, so we've got our 4 contenders: social influence, performance expectancy, effort expectancy, and facilitating conditions. The big question is, how in the world did the researchers figure out which of these really moves the needle? Here's how they did it. The team surveyed 162 young adults in Mumbai, all tech-savvy, all active online. And using this really powerful research model called UTout, they basically asked questions designed to measure the pull of each of our 4 drivers. Everything from how easy it felt to whether they thought it would actually work. And the results, hoo boy. They were not what most people would expect. This is really where our conventional wisdom kind of gets flipped on its head. The data pointed to a very clear pecking order of what motivates us, and it was a pretty big surprise. So the results showed that 3 things were clear drivers. And look at this. At the very top of the list, with the most power to predict our behavior, was effort expectancy. In other words, how easy it is. That was followed by social influence, peer pressure, and then having the right tools and access, the facilitating conditions. But wait a minute, what about that 4th factor? The one we all assumed was the main reason we get involved. The belief that our click is actually going to make a difference. And here it is. This is the big twist. The study found absolutely no significant connection between performance expectation and our intention to act. That hypothesis, it was rejected, flat out. In other words, whether or not we actually believe our action will work, it's not a statistically significant factor in our decision to click. Wow. And just how important was that number 1 factor? Get this. The study found that how easy an action is, that alone accounts for a staggering 46% of our intention to do it. The single biggest reason we join an online cause is, simply put, convenience. And hey, don't just take it from me. The lead researcher himself points out how wild this is. He literally says that the result does not support conventional thinking. We think we're these logical beings driven by outcomes, but the data suggests we're really driven by ease and what our friends are doing.
So, okay, what do we do with this? Why does it matter that our motivations might not be what we think they are? Well, this has absolutely huge implications for anyone trying to create change online. Activists, nonprofits, you name it.
So let's just lay it all out one more time. The recipe for getting someone to act online starts with making it unbelievably easy. That's step 1. Step 2, you need social proof. Their friends need to be doing it. Step 3, of course, they need the basic tools to even participate. But the kicker, the final, surprising step, realizing that their belief in the ultimate success of the whole thing, it isn't the trigger we all thought it was.
And that kind of leaves us with this big, nagging question. If our clicks are driven more by what's easy and what makes us feel like we belong, rather than a deep-seated belief in the outcome, what does that actually mean for the power of these online movements to create real, lasting change in the world? That's definitely something to chew on the next time you're asked to click like for a cause.